Needs finding is really about exploration. It's really about going out there and seeing where the problems are.
I would say any innovator who's going into needs finding needs to go in with a very open mind and open eyes and open ears.
The key steps to finding a good need is really to observe it firsthand. You can't just do secondary research like reading from the literature or papers. It's not going to work. You have to actually be on the scene.
We spent 4 weeks doing our observations.
We did our clinical observations in all different kinds of settings. We first went to the operating room because that's always the most interesting place, especially for me because I'm a surgeon.
I'm a mechanical engineer. I've never seen surgeries. I was actually afraid that I'll be grossed out. We observed treatment of patients in the emergency department where they were brought in.
We went to dialysis centers because we were doing nephrology. We went to the ward. We accompanied the team on morning rounds. We found out that there were a lot of needs happening in the clinic.
Hi. Dr. Iseri.
Nice to meet you.
How are you?
Personally, I like the clinic better because I could actually see the patient and talk to the patient. In surgery, the patient's usually out.
Learned a lot about how inefficient healthcare delivery is, and as a consumer of healthcare, you're very often oblivious to what actually happens behind those closed doors.
See if you want to go ahead and schedule an appointment.
The most challenging thing was not knowing at all what was going on sometimes. You have to find the right balance between asking questions and also just kind of soaking it all in.
In terms of the stakeholders we spoke with, initially it was the doctors. We tried to set up appointments with them and met extensively with them, but realized a lot of decisions get made outside of doctors' offices.
Oftentimes the doctors are sort of the captain of the ship, but they don't necessarily know all the little things that might be going wrong.
So met with the residents, met with nurses, and learned that there are probably 10, 15 different kinds of nurses, and each one has a very different opinion. We met with hospital administrators, people making decisions about purchasing products for the hospital.
We'd talk to the janitor and see what the problems were cleaning up the OR, things like that.
Remember that for patients and providers both, what they think may not be the same as what they say, and for sure what they say is not the same as what they do. So don't just interview, get in and observe.
Once you have observations listed, you try to see what all problems in that observations are. So in one observation, there could be many problems.
Converting an observation into a need involves a lot of empathy, where you need to identify the pain point.
Theoretically, a good need statement has a very clearly defined problem, a very clearly defined population, and a clearly defined outcome.
The nuts and bolts of putting these need statements together, it's actually not so easy.
So when crafting need statements, I think we'd start out with really crude observations. We wouldn't put in a lot of thought into the who and the outcomes. As we started to further refine and validate some of those problems, we started understanding the problem, and who the stakeholders were, and what change we were trying to make within the system.
The need statement process is iterative. You should expect it to actually last a long time as you learn more information and do more diligence in the area.
If there's one thing to know about the biodesign process, here's the mantra. A well-characterized need is the DNA of a good invention. So what you're doing in stage one, collecting those needs, it's critical. It's the start of getting that one good need that's going to lead to a great innovation.